Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another Magic Arena Explorer video. So today we are playing some Lotus Field Control. So this is using the new Thespian stage card from Explorer Anthology 3. So Lotus Field is a land that says Hexproof, enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice 2 lands. And you tap to add 3 mana of any one color. So essentially you get to trade 2 of your lands in for a land that produces 3 mana. However, if you have a strict proctor on the battlefield, which is a 1/3 with flying that says whenever a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability to trigger, counter that ability unless its controller pays 2. You play that. You play the Lotus Field. That triggers, and you don't pay the 2, and that effect doesn't resolve. So it essentially ramps you 2 additional mana, and then that's essentially the idea of the deck. You cheat a Lotus Field into play. You then use its mana ramp to essentially just play lots of expensive spells and get advantages over your opponent and win the game using a Azorius Control shell. But we're also running 3 copies of Thespian Stage, so that is a colorless land that also says tap 2 and tap. It becomes a copy of target land, except it has this ability, so if you use that on a Lotus Field, it becomes a copy of the Lotus Field, but as it didn't enter the battlefield, you don't have to do any of the sacrificing 2 lands. And we also have one other way of completing this little cheaty interaction, which is to play one of our 4 copies of Discontinuity, which is a 6 mana instant, but if it's your turn, it only costs 2 mana and essentially ends the turn immediately. So if you activate full control, play Lotus Field, and while that ability is on the stack, you play Discontinuity, it ends the turn, it exiles the ability, you don't have to sacrifice the lands. So there's a couple of different ways of making that happen. And then, as I say, the rest of the deck is broadly Azorius Control. So we have 4 copies of Impulse, which allows us to find the bits of the combo that we want. And then we've got some counter spells in Jawari Disruption and Dovin's Veto, one of each of those. Finale of Revelation, which is an X card, which allows us to draw X cards, which when you have a couple of Lotus Fields on the battlefield will very quickly add up into quite a lot. Then we're also running 1 copy of Temporary Lockdown, 3 copies of Doomscar, and 3 copies of Farewell as our mass removal spells. 3 copies of Memory Deluge, again to help us find the cards that we want. Bit of card advantage there. Seagate Restoration is our other mass draw spell. And then our finishers are 3 copies of the Wandering Emperor, 4 copies of Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, and then 1 copy of Dream Trawler, which is not one that you see hugely often in the main deck of Azorius Control decks, but it's a 3/5 with Flying and Lifelink for 6 mana. Whenever you draw a card, it gets +1/+0. Whenever it attacks, draw a card, and then you could discard a card and get hexproof until end of turn and tap it, so it's a very hard card for the opponent to get rid of once it's on the battlefield. Then in the mana base, we've got a lot of dual lands, as you'd expect. We've got our 4 copies of Lotus Field and 3 Thespian stages, and then a couple of basic lands, and then a whole load of utility lands as well. So we're running Castle Ardenvale and Castle Vantress, but also Hall of Storm Giants as an additional win condition. And then Iganjo and Otawara as well. So there's plenty of different lands for us to take advantage of. Then in the sideboard, we have 2 copies of Soul Guide Lantern as our graveyard hate of choice, so that exiles a specific card, or it can exile the entire opponent's graveyard, or just be sacrificed to draw a card, so it's very versatile. We've got 1 copy of Dennick, Pious Apprentice, which stops the opponent from targeting cards in graveyards with spells or abilities. 2 more Dovin's Vetoes and 3 Mystical Disputes as kind of additional counter spells. We've got Temporary Lockdown, again, another copy of that to bring in against decks that run a lot of low-value creatures and non-land permanents, and then 4 copies of Leyline of Sanctity. So that's one of the ley lines where if you have it in your opening hand, you can begin the game with it on the battlefield. It gives you hexproof, so that's very useful against mono red decks that run Thoughtseize and other ways of disrupting your hand. Then we've got Thought Distortion as our kind of additional big sideboard cards. We've got Thought Distortion. Now, normally you wouldn't be able to play this in an Azorius deck, but obviously with Lotus Field you can do. Spell can't be countered. Target opponent reveals their hand. Exile all non-creature, non-land cards from that player's hand and graveyard. Very good against in control mirrors. And then 1 copy of Niv Mizzet Perun, similarly using Lotus Field to cast it. 5/5 can't be countered, has flying. Whenever you draw a card, it deals 1 damage to any target. Whenever a player casts an instance of sorcery spell, you draw a card. So those are kind of our big alternative cards to play against certain decks if we want to bring those in. So yeah, that is the deck. Azorius Lotus Field Control, using the new Thespian stage from Explorer Anthology 3. So yeah, that's the deck. Hit those like and subscribe buttons as ever, and let's go onto the ladder and see how we go on with this. So, a lot of interesting news about Explorer over the weekend from MTG Barcelona. So, we are expecting the full Khans of Tarkir set to drop sometime before the end of the year. I'm going to keep this hand. And then we'll be getting Pioneer Masters sometime next year. And they've said that Explorer will be functionally the same as tournament level Pioneer by the end of next year. So this is interesting and potentially exciting developments. Obviously, we'd all much rather it had been done quicker than this, but it's positive at least to have a roadmap now to kind of determine where we might go. So yeah, should look forward to Calms being available to draft as well. I mean, it's one of the best draft sets of all time, so we'll probably do a couple of videos of that as well because that is good fun. Okay, so the opponent's on a Magma Opus style deck, so let's Impulse. So we don't need discontinuity, so let's take the Wandering Emperor. Ooh, fun. Okay, let's play Strict Proctor. See if they want to counter it. No. Play the Lotus Field immediately, because even if they remove the Strict Proctor now, the ability still... there's no way of them interacting with that combo. So, very good. We've got the mana ramp we wanted, and we can play another Lotus Field next turn if we so wish. So let's do that now. Decline. Okay, so it looks like our opponent is playing some form of creativity style deck, or possibly, yeah, possibly it probably is. So, I mean, they may well go for it next turn, which if they do, I'm kind of happy about, because I could just Wandering Emperor away whatever it is they play. No, okay, Fable instead, that's fine. So, am I happy to just play the Wandering Emperor now? Yes, I think so. Let's have another land. I think I'm happy to temporary lockdown here. We'll lose our Proctor, but we'll get rid of all of this stuff, so... Okay, don't know why you put that back in my hand, but I suppose we appreciate it. Let's play both our strict proctors now. So sagas aren't a triggered ability, so this doesn't have any effect on the Fable of the Mirror Breaker entering the battlefield. Presumably they're playing Gearhulk version of creativity. Okay, let's attack. Let's foretell Doomscar. Play Hollowed Fountain, pass the turn. It's Castle Vantress. Yes, I quite like having another Wandering Emperor, and then into Impulse seems decent enough. And we always have the option to discontinuity them if we so choose. Yeah, that works. They don't know what they want, so let's just play the Wandering Emperor. Let's have a 2-2. Let's play Impulse. Really looking for a Teferi now, I think. Thespian stage is okay, but we kind of got all the mana we need, so let's take another Wandering Emperor. Let's buff up one of our strict proctors. Start hitting them for some damage. Yeah, so with their flash torrential Gearhulks, discontinuity becomes a much better card because it only costs us essentially a 2-mana counter spell. Functionally does the same thing though. I wonder what they're up to here. Okay, let's Castle Vantress again. I don't really want either of these. Let's buff up our other strict proctor. So we've got Iganjo, we've got the Wandering Emperor. What are they doing here? Have they got another Gearhulk? Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Is it activate Hall of Storm Giants time? Must be fairly soon. Ooh, interesting. Now, what do I do here? So we play the Wandering Emperor. Keep that one. Sure thing. Let's exile that. Pay 3. Let's kill the Reflection of Kiki Jiki. Okay, Dovin's Veto puts us in a pretty good spot. Oof, long first game, but we got there in the end. So, Mystical Dispute, Dovin's Veto, Soul Guide Lantern, I think, is decent here, just for getting rid of their Magma Opuses and the like. What's not so good here? Doomscar is not good. Temporary Lockdown was just okay there, I don't think we need it. I like Discontinuity. Maybe these extra draw spells aren't quite so great against a deck that runs counter spells. Let's lose a Memory Deluge as well. Actually, no, let's trim a Farewell. Pop back in Memory Deluge. Just keep the 2 Farewells. This is how I pretend I know what I'm doing. Not the best opening hand I've ever seen, but it does have a Dovin's Veto to stop Fable and the like, so I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay with it. Okay, I think we're in reasonable shape with this now then. Ooh, the opponent's stuck on mana, so that's pretty bad news for them. Yikes. So if they counter this, hopefully we'll just draw a land and be able to play Teferi. If not, we'll go hunting for a land and probably just pass. Yep. Not quite what we were hoping for, so let's just pass the turn. We too have missed a land drop. I mean, we're in a slightly better place than they are, but okay, they've got... I think let's veto this just to slow any additional... no land, eh? No, still nothing. So let's impulse again. Grab a irrigated farmland. Unfortunately, we don't have quite the mana to make it all happen, so this will do for now. Okay. Let's play Big Tef. Are we playing Soul Guide Lantern here? I don't think so. So it basically degenerated into normal control. We kind of forgotten had to leave our combo at home. Okay, discontinuity is good. So let's play Soul Guide Lantern. Sure. It's probably not interesting enough for me to do anything about it, so just pass the turn. So let's drop the Wandering Emperor. That's Mystical Dispute their Gearhulk. Exile that. What are we doing here? It's +1 Teferi. Let's make a 2/2. It's main phase Memory Deluge. Let's pass the turn. Yeah, Gearhulk struggles a lot against Mystical Dispute. I mean, 1 mana counter your 6 mana thing is just pretty rough. And we've had what, three 3+1s with Teferi. Pretty hard to come back from that. Let's drop another Wandering Emperor. I'm not going to tap out just in case they have another Gearhulk, so we won't play Impulse. Let's pop a counter on one of our Knights Samurai. Let's make some attacks. Could use Farewell on enchantments and graveyards, I suppose. That wouldn't be terrible. And artifacts, actually. Eh, eh. Don't feel like we're under any enormous pressure here, so. The opponent's deep in the tank. Ooh, okay. That's different. So, should we discontinuity here? Stops them drawing a card as well. Yeah, let's do that. Interesting. As it can't be countered. Chiwari Disruption is fine. Ah, that's fun. Because I ended the turn, I get 2 separate Teferi triggers. Should have just cast Memory Deluge instead. Oh well. Dream Trawler and Soul Guide Lantern, I think seems decent here. So let's start with Soul Guide Lantern. Doesn't really matter because I'm going to exile the graveyard anyway, but let's +1 on our Samurai. Let's tick up Teferi. Okay, Thespian stage is decent. No Lotus Fields, but doesn't feel like a game where you've had these two Planeswalkers for this many turns is one that your opponent's got much chance of winning, but that is fun. Unfortunately, I'm not going to allow it. Yep, there we are. Yeah, that was a pretty rough matchup for opponent, and they stumbled on mana there in that second game. Oh well, long old game, so I think we'll probably just play one more. If we draw a second land, pretty good shape. Without one, we're in terrible shape. No. Okay, that's much worse. Kind of same choice, I suppose. Okay, let's keep this one. Pop back Teferi. No, let's pop back Doomscar and just hope we draw a second land so that we can. No, okay, we are fairly screwed. That's not hugely fun. Okay, well, that's a land at least. Okay. Good news. Okay, well, we do at least have the Wandering Emperor now. So let's kill Shieldred. I'll take the land anyway. Grab an island. Nice impulse. Memory Deluge. Let's play Teferi. Raw. Untap, untap. Grimflare is a card. Sure thing. Let's tick up one more time. Doomscar. Play Proctor. Untap, untap. Still annoyingly present, that Liliana, so let's send it away. Play Dream Trawler. Sure. Pass the turn. I suppose this, yes, they still get to deal with our... fair enough. Right, that's +1. Let's play Finale of Revelation for 5. Let's drop another Lotus Field into play. Untap, untap. Then we've got Memory Deluge as an option. Play the Wandering Emperor. Oh, they really are into their Deep Root Wayfinders. Glisser, sure. Discard a Hollowed Fountain. Play an Impulse. Nothing very interesting here, so let's just take a Thespian stage. Let's tick up. Let's play Farewell. Creatures, graveyards. +1 on the Wandering Emperor. Sure thing. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty rough mill for our opponent. Let's discard another Hollowed Fountain. Let's turn Thespian stage into a Lotus Field. Let's activate Castle Ardenvale. Let's play Castle Vantress. Tick, make that bigger. Tick up Teferi. Attack Liliana. Play Impulse. Grab a Memory Deluge. Let's main phase Memory Deluge. Take both of these. Pass the turn. I'm playing a little bit loosely here, to be honest, but I don't think the opponent's going to win from here. Emperor. Another Deluge. Keep that one. Tick that up again. Draw with Teferi. Kill Liliana. Main phase Memory Deluge. Seagate Restoration is fine. Let's play another Thespian stage. Lands, discard a Hollowed Fountain. Let's veto that. Let's do mill a card. Yeah, sure. Let's cycle Farmland. Cast Memory Deluge. What are we taking here? Maybe a couple of strict proctors. One strict proctor. Yeah, let's just start drawing things that will end the game. How many cards have we got left? 15. Okay, maybe let's not cast Seagate Restoration. Let's cast Strict Proctor. Strict Proctor. Send old Rust Bucket away. Play another Teferi. Lotus Field. I'm being incredibly dirtly here, but Sure. Just have another Lotus Field. Let's Ottawa away there, 1-1. Tick up our Wandering Emperor. Plus Teferi. Play Hollowed Fountain. Just create a 1-1. Pass the turn. Okay, that was not a particularly efficient way of winning, but we got there in the end after a pretty rubbish start. So let's pop in. What are we putting in against our opponent here? Temporary lockdown doesn't do much. Niv visit doesn't do much. Are we just running it back? It seems a fairly decent main deck against what our opponent's doing. Maybe let's swap. Just because it stops Liliana. Yep, let's run it back. Okay. Yep, it's decent, gives us what we need. Let's say I remain unconvinced by Golgari midrange. It's not terrible by any means, but just doesn't seem to ever get it done. Fair enough. So let's drop Teferi. Tick up. Let's play Lotus Field. Disgusting amounts of mana that we're producing here. Ooh, interesting. So do we play the Wandering Emperor here? And then just sacrifice it? Oh, well, let's Impulse first. Let's play the Wandering Emperor. Let's keep Teferi alive, I think. It could really do with a land. Let's grab one. Let's Doomscar. Untap, untap. Yeah, let's veto that. It's Wandering Emperor now. How are we doing this? Let's tick up Teferi. Keep this one. Send that away. Let's kill Liliana. Create another 2/2. Pass the turn. Deluge, Deluge. Proctor and Farewell. Impulse. Let's take another Memory Deluge. Yes. Let's grow our Samurai. Play a Proctor. Pass the turn. Big Tef. Dovin's Veto. Sure. Dream Trawler's not bad. Let's send Shieldred away for a bit. Grow our Strict Proctor. Let's main phase a Memory Deluge. Take Seagate Restoration and Thespian Stage. Tick up. Play Seagate Restoration. It's Lotus Field. What are we doing next? Let's attack. Let's have another Lotus Field. Oh, I could have cast Iganja there. I'm really not paying attention in this game, I have to say. You'll have to forgive me. I think it's because just playing very loosely at the moment. No, let's not draw, actually. Let's play a land. Do I have enough to kill them? So if I draw, no, not quite. So let's just attack. So I can Doomscar, I can... let's try Memory Deluging first. Yeah, let's just end their turn, I think, when they... on their upkeep. And we'll just win that way, I think. Yep. I didn't play that very well, but we didn't really need to, so... There you are, that is Lotus Field. Good couple of games there. Yeah, Golgari just didn't really do anything against us there. Ooh, a pack. So there we are, Azorius Control with Lotus Field and Thespian stage. Very potent combo. Yeah, still seems pretty good. The Thespian stages are probably a little unnecessary, but it's fun when you have like 5 Lotus Fields on the battlefield. There's the deck one more time. Thanks very much for watching. Leave those comments as always, like and subscribe. I will see you next time.